You know, there's something that changes in most family relationships when a child becomes a teenager. It seems that for children, parents have all the right answers and can fix any problems when they're little. But as children become teenagers and young adults, things change. So that most teenagers think that their parents do not know anything. They certainly don't know their problems. At least that's what happened in my family. I remember my mother saying that my grandfather would say to her and her brothers and sisters that they know it all. He's 15 years old and we can't teach you a thing. She'd also tell us that right before she was accusing us of knowing everything. And I thought that was really kind of our generation, except that I found out that Mark Twain once is reputed as saying, when a boy is 14, when I was a boy of 14, my father was so ignorant, I could hardly stand to have the old man around. But when I got to be 21, I was astonished at how much the old man had learned in 7 years. And I guess that the experience of thinking you know better, especially at a young age, without having any experience of life, and the difficulty of appreciating the wisdom of others who have lived through a lot of things and have been around for some time now. Rejecting the advice, the message, or the information that comes to us from people who are very familiar with us, like our friends or our spouse or parents or even our children when they say something. It's one of the greatest defense mechanisms we have. And the truth is that when they speak, which we believe, if it is the truth, then it might be coming to us from the God of truth. You know, we could be easily rejecting the message as well as the messenger. And when we really know people, really know them well, and they're close to us, we often question, how could they know anything that, and how could God be speaking to us through them? Today we see the crowd rejecting Jesus. When Jesus went to his hometown, to the people he knew, and he preached the message that he preached in so many other places to great success, he experienced rejection. At first glance, the text shows that the people rejected the messenger more so than just the message. They knew his parents, his family, right? They were nothing special. So how could he know all these things and be able to speak about all these things? They could not get past who was saying it, and so lost some good information, some good faith that they could have experienced. There are times when someone is speaking the truth that really we believe any truth means it comes from God. But because of who said it, we ourselves can easily dismiss it. It's often because we can't get past the person who's saying it. Or we get very defensive because that person knows us pretty well, and what he says hits too close to home. It's like when you're sort of the elephant in the room that everybody knows but can't really say. It becomes much easier to say, who do you think you are? Right? Or, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what I'm thinking or experiencing. So a parent can be made to feel by their own children that it's better off not to say anything. Because as soon as they do, their children will automatically shut down, fight back. Sometimes it doesn't even matter what they say. And you can see sometimes parents, they speak to me about how they have to walk on eggshells in terms of how much they actually say to their children before they get a barrage back or a dismissal. A husband says that he could never talk about this subject with his wife because such and such a thing would just set her off. And so we can't really talk about it anymore. We could listen to a psychiatrist, though, or a marriage counselor. who might say the very same thing. But it's easier to take it from a stranger than to take it from someone close to us. Much easier than hearing it from our parents or our brother or sister, our friends, sometimes even our children. Because we could be challenged, by someone close to us, knows us pretty well, that, say something like, that's not really nice. Or maybe we should be a little kinder here. It's like, who do you think you are saying that to me? Right? There can be this attitude that in no way they speak the truth. That may be coming from God because we know them. We know their history and their faults, their own faults. And we see them all the time. So how could they possibly be saying anything that's worthwhile? In the midst of the people in the gospel, this kind of prophet who speaks this way and who does these amazing things would have to come from somewhere else, maybe even somewhere far away. Certainly God would not be speaking to me through someone next door or in my family or through my spouse or my parents or sometimes even through my children. It's so easy for us to shut out the truth that might be coming from God because we don't like where it's coming from. That's way too ordinary for us. And it's so easy to dismiss and say, you don't understand. Today we see Jesus is rejected. And what he has had to say in being rejected in his hometown, and he says he could not do any good there. They were just not open to any good that he could do, that he could do in so many other places. And I get that experience because the last people I can evangelize, my own family, right? Try to tell them how to live a Catholic life. So like, who do you know? We knew you when you were a kid, right? But we're all free to accept or reject our Lord and his message wherever it comes. I remember that, that God may be speaking to you and maybe has been speaking to you for some time now. He might even have tried to send you help and direction, but maybe, just maybe, you wouldn't hear it. Not because it wasn't the truth, but because you thought you knew best, at least better than the one who's telling you something, right? And you couldn't get past the person our Lord decided to use to speak the truth. The greatest virtue that comes into play here for all of us is humility. Humility to believe that God would speak through ordinary, simple ways and through people very accessible to us, even sometimes those we don't like. And instead, oftentimes, the great sin is being filled with a lot of pride, right? When that's what's really driving this. And I remember reading from Cassian. Cassian is a monk who lived in the 4th century. He wrote these conferences to his monks in the community. And he advised them to take into consideration wherever the truth might come. Because even from those people who do not like you, listen to what they say about you if you're interested in growing in holiness. Because they just might be telling you something that your friends love you too much to tell you, right? Or that they would know that if they did say that, it would set you off. And that takes a lot of humility. And it does eat away at a lot of arrogance and a lot of pride that we have within us in terms of how we should be growing in holiness. So are you open to God speaking to you from many different places? Even the ones you might think couldn't possibly people who have any brains enough to help you, or smarts enough, or experience enough, or holiness enough. Imagine if you were to stand before God and when all truth has been revealed, you come to see that God was trying all along to help you grow in holiness. He had sent many people to help. Many words were told. The problem was more that You rejected the messenger that he chose and then dismissed the message. Maybe even those messengers that are sitting right next to you.